Hello everyone, Sammy here, and today I have another speed build for you. This one is going to go in my Sunshine Shores custom hood, and you'll be able to download the house as soon as you finish watching this video. Initially, I didn't plan on making this for Sunshine Shores. I thought it would just be kind of a one and done fun way to celebrate the 4th of July with a patriotic build, but I thought it might be kind of cool after some I thought about it, and I thought, it might be kind of cool to have an entire row of holiday houses. I could do one for Lunar New Year, I could have the Valentine's one I did, I can make a St. Patrick's Day one, here would be the 4th of July one, and then I could do Thanksgiving, Halloween, and Christmas, and maybe a traditional New Year one as well. But for now, I just have this one, and if you notice in the back, you may see that I did a more traditional colonial style house with more mild colors, because I always had planned to do a colonial house for this, because when I think of American architecture, my mind just goes to colonials. It was sort of like the prototype for this one. I did end up spending way longer on this one than I did for probably any of my other builds, especially considering this isn't that big. It's only a 4-bedroom, 5-bath house, but I used one of the bedrooms for an office space, and this one took 8 hours, 21 minutes, and 45 seconds. I'm very happy with the way it came out though, and I didn't initially intend to do this, but I ended up only using the colors red, white, and blue. Like you can see that the window shutters are red, the windows themselves are white, and the exterior house trim is white, and then I go with the blue roof. I'm debating on whether or not to do like the least vibrant blue or the most vibrant blue. I ended up going down the middle with the sort of vibrant blue, but not in your face blue. And then I was very excited to do this part as well because it's one of the first houses I think I've ever done that actually had an attached greenhouse. Normally I make the greenhouse a separate feature, and it's possibly because the roof is a little bit tricky, but I really, really liked how this came out. I think the greenhouse is one of the most interesting features. The dormers are, you can see they're definitely a pain in the ass because the windows don't want to go on them right. I wish they would have made the actual dormer tool in the Sims 2 more practical and not so much for decorative purposes, because a lot of people actually do have dormers they can go up into, like they have a little reading nook, or they have like a playroom for the kids, or even an office space, but in the Sims 2 they're mostly just for show. Something I wish I would have done, and I didn't do this, is that I should have gone with the ceiling tool and added like a dark wood color to be like an attic hatch door. So that way it would look like there was like an attic space up there. But it's not hard to do. You could just do that yourself when you download it if you want to. Or, maybe you can take away the floor in the dormers and have it be like just a tall ceiling in that area. Up to you, really. Something I did as well is on the inside, I even go in with a more intense red color for the wood floor. But yeah, this is one of the first houses in a very long time where I actually made the invisible driveway requirement for it. And I suppose I could do an upload that doesn't have the driveway on it, or if you're using the clean lot installer, you can just choose not to install the driveway, and all that will really do is make the driveway look like the default driveway color, then the actual part that's not driveway will look like how it looks in the video. The color scheme was something I really struggled with because I normally don't use such vibrant, loud colors, but I was determined to, it's a special occasion, so it's kind of okay to go crazy. The main reason that I abandoned the prototype build in the back for this one is because I wanted to do a very large pool. I feel like it's sort of like an American dream to have a house with a pool and a fountain in the front yard. Like, that's how you know you've made it, when you have a fountain in the front yard. So I did that, and I added a garage at the last minute as well because I wasn't sure, because normally colonial houses don't have garages, but I feel like you kind of need one, and it's not technically functional because it's sideways and it's not long enough to have a garage space in it even with sheets. But I ended up doing something kind of fun with it that I'll explain a bit more when we get to it. I also did, as you can see, I'm struggling with this too, but you can see that I put in custom colors in the pool. That is something you can do in The Sims 2 that I don't think you can do in the other ones. At least not for free. Then I go in here adding me 2 staircases that go to the same place because colonial houses sometimes have that. And I think it came out really nice. You have to stay to the end and watch the picture slideshow because that is like one of my favorite rooms in the house. I think it's very grand. I also did the dual fireplaces on any side of the house because colonial houses usually have that. I'm not quite sure why they have that because I feel like if you have one fireplace, you don't need a second one. But then again, I used to live in a house that had like a fireplace in every room, so I didn't put the fireplaces there. That's just the way they came. I also did, unfortunately, have to do a windowless bathroom, but there are houses that have windowless bathrooms, and they're fine, really, as long as you have like a ventilation system in there, it's totally fine. A lot of colonial houses also have like these weird balcony-like pieces that don't go anywhere. They don't typically have doors that like let you walk out onto them, but I feel like how stupid is it not to have a door you can walk out on the balcony? Like, why would there be a balcony you can't access? So I of course put doors to the balcony because I don't do stupid houses. But speaking of stupid, you would not believe some of the stuff I had to go through recently. So, some of you may or may not know, I have an event coordination agency, which is a fancy way of saying that I'm a party planner. But when you say agency, people think like, oh, that's gotta be like a prestigious thing if it's an agency. Reality is just me, and I have like a flyer at the local Piggly Wiggly, but my customers are happy with the results. So I recently have been contacted by the town, and they wanted me to help put on the 4th of July celebration. And they were actually going to pay me for it, which is awesome. Because a lot of time, like, they'll be like, I'll pay you in what do they say? I'll pay you in exposure. I can't pay my rent with exposure, I'm sorry. So, I thought it'd be really cool with the greenhouse too, by the way, to have like sort of like a tile in there, like one of those really old Victorian, I think they're called Victorian greenhouses. And I did have a fountain in here too because, you know, when you have a fountain in your greenhouse and not just a fountain in your front yard, you really know you've made it. I also tried multiple times to make like a red, white, and blue rug work. I was debating putting a flag on the floor to be a rug, but then at the last minute I thought, you know, a lot of people get really triggered by the flag these days. Like, if you put it on the floor, like, oh my god, you can't put the flag on the floor. Like, how disrespectful, you're disrespecting our country. And then other people are literally burning them in the street. So I decided to forego the flag, and instead I just went with like a white rug, and I did when I changed the floor to be a more intense red color, the white really balances it out. But anyway, I was putting on a 4th of July show for the town, and I thought this would be the perfect opportunity, of course, to shoehorn my sisters and me into a performance, because whenever there's a chance to perform, you know we take it. And the other day at the 4th of July festivities, me and my sisters were doing a sound check to make sure all the tech worked, and we were honestly not giving it our all. It was a sound check, you know. No one was watching except for the vendors, and there was no reason to really burn ourselves out when we had to perform again in like a half hour. So like, we were just like doing like a little practice run, you know. Well, Ingrid and Abby slithered out of the whatever sewer they were hiding in, came over and was like, wow, that was a real great performance. But you know, it was a little bit lackluster and unimpressive without Ashley. Hey, I know. Since she's not here, why don't we perform with you, since it's like we're so much better than Ashley anyway. Not to speak ill of the dead, but she was never very good. What happened next was entirely out of my control, and it was sort of just like a compulsory sort of reaction Totally not my fault, but my fist just uncontrollably and unaccountably flew into her face and busted her nose in. Then, on the spot, Stella was like, "You guys are losers, and we don't need talentless hacks with f***ed up faces like yours in the show." Ingrid screamed, "You're gonna have to beg us to be in the show now." And then Stella said something along the lines of, "The only begging that's going to happen here is when you drop to your knees trying to find yourself a new sugar daddy, but you can't even do right, so that's why you're always asking us for money." Their faces turned bright red. Before they could break down into tears, Olive and Max came over, and Olive just threw her slushy in Abby's face, and she's like, "Oh, sorry, I wanted to see if it was true that witches melted if you got them wet." Then Max threatened to punch him, and he said, "I don't care if you're girls, I'm still gonna hit you." And Olive was like, "Wait, they're girls?" And then they just stormed off, and I think they were crying, but like, they had no business saying that about Ashley. First of all, she's not even dead. She's been missing for 2 years now. She's not dead. At least not yet. I'm holding out hope that one day Ash is coming back to us. I have it in my mind that she's actually just in a rehab / cult, possibly. Because I may have hired a private investigator, and they found some brochures for this place that looked really like it was too good to be true. Like, it was like, "Oh, it's covered by insurance, you get a queen-size bed. Like, we have activities and all this stuff's like, there's no way this is covered by insurance. This is like a resort. Like, if you get to go to a 5-star resort because you're in rehab for a drug addiction, then I want to be an addict, because, like, that is, like, really, really fancy." But I don't believe for a second that's actually what it is. I think they lied horrendously on the brochure. Because you know they always lie on the brochures. They don't ever just say, like, "Oh, we are, like, a sensible rehab," or "We're, like, a sensible place where we meet your expectations, but, like, don't expect anything too crazy." Those slushies are really good, though. Like, there was no reason to temper expectations at all with those. Those are delicious. Funny story about that, actually, is that one day Olive was in, I want to say she was in, actually I'm not going to say where she was because I don't want to dox myself, but she was out of town and she went to a gas station and she saw that they had, like, an honest to goodness, like, genuine slushy machine, you know, like the slush puppy kind. She had decided that that would be hers. So after going back and forth with the manager who said, "I can't sell it," she forced him to call the owner, and she made him an offer he could not refuse. So she calls me up because she drives a Lotus, and there's no way she's getting this slushy machine back in her Lotus. So she's like, "Hey, come help me move this." It's like, really? Like, because at first I thought this was such a weird thing to happen, like, that she just bought a slushy machine at a gas station with no way of getting it back. But, like, if you know Olive, you know that's not super out of the realm of what she normally does. So I was like, okay, and I go over. Oh, but here I am trying to get the garage to go in. I really wanted to have it be functional, but unfortunately it's not functional, and there's no way I can make it functional without moving the entire house at this point, and I did not want to do that. So I ended up just making it like a shed, and it has the garage look to it, but what's inside is a garage band. How cool is that? Like, there's a drum set, there's a guitar, there's a bass, there's a microphone. Like, I've always wanted to do that in The Sims, and I've never been able to because you can't put that stuff on a driveway pad. But there's no driveway pad in there, so that there's no reason that I can't this time. It was so perfect. Anyway, I go over and we take the snow cone machine back to the slushy machine back to her house. I mean, I guess when you think about it, a slushy machine is kind of like a snow cone machine, but they are fundamentally different. But we get it back to her house, and for the longest time it's sitting in her kitchen. Well, the other day when we were planning the festival, not the festival, well, it was for the festival, but it was initially for a fundraiser that we were doing. But something that was interesting that happened is that a lot of the plans that we made for the fundraiser ended up going for the festival, and a lot of the stuff that we had for the festival, since it was there was no reason to, like, have it there was no reason to take it away when we were doing the fundraiser. So like the two events basically just became the exact same thing, which is kind of ironic because in the beginning I wanted to do things a very certain way. And the people are like, no, you can't do that. You can't have a wet t-shirt contest for a church fundraiser. You can't do like feature dancing for this. This is scandalous, and you can't have gays there because something about gays and in the Bible, and I honestly turned them out when they start talking. But they said something like, you can't do that. But then I was like, we do it my way, or I'm just going to put all of my focus into the festival, and no one's going to come to your fundraiser because they'll all have been having so much fun at the festival, they won't want to go to two events like right after each other. But in actuality, what ended up happening is that happened anyway, and it was a good thing. And I didn't think it would be a good thing, but people had such a good time at the festival that they're all really excited for the fundraiser now. Because like they had so much fun at the festival, they feel the fundraiser is going to be more of the same. Only it's going to be like a little bit more heavily monetized because we are trying to make money to fix up the church and for like a good cause, you know. So anyway, the other day Olive goes and she brings the slushy machine to the church for the fundraiser. It ended up getting used for the festival, but that's what I was saying. So Riley, she explained that we have an honest-to-goodness slushy machine, and she loves slushies. Like, she used to be like almost addicted to slushies, where she would have to like constantly stop and get a slushie. She would drive like hours and hours on her way to find a slushie. And I don't know if people really even know what I'm talking about, because the slush puppy machines, they don't make them anymore, and the ones that exist are like becoming exceedingly rare because they break down, and like apparently you can't fix them, and they get like mold in them. And I really don't know why they're so rare, because like it's kind of like hearses. They don't make any more hearses. The hearses that exist now, they're the same hearses that have existed for like 100 years, and they don't really change. But like, they're still in circulation. They don't just disappear. Like if they break, you fix them. But like with these slushy machines, like if those break, they just get thrown away, and you never see them again. And they're like really, really, really good. Really good. Slush puppy machine. Do me and do yourself the favor and get yourself a slushie because they are so good, especially like on a hot summer day. But like Riley, she used to love slushies, so she got when there's gonna be a slushie machine there. So she comes over. She had to have made at least like a 6-hour drive, and then when she goes, I only come for Slurpee. We all thought she was just kidding, so we laugh and it's like, ah. But then she goes inside, immediately gets her Slurpee, says nothing, and then gets in her car and drives away. And we're all just sitting there like, what just happened? She legit couldn't give a damn about the fundraiser, or even the festival for that matter. And like, this is an integral part of our town heritage. Like, whenever there's like festivals or events, they're always held at the church. Like, just not because like it's like we're super religious or anything, but just because the church has like a really big parking lot and there's like a huge vacant lot next to it. So like, it makes practical sense to do everything there because you have a lot of room to do stuff. A lot of people got really pissed off because they felt that someone with her looks and her talent, her alone probably would have been able to pay for like everything we needed. But like, if she wanted to like actually raise money, she herself probably could do a really good job of it. She's a model, she's a singer, she's an actress, she's like a triple threat. But nope. She just goes and gets her Slurpee and leaves. Everyone was furious. Olive was especially pissed. She's like, Slurpees are only for the people who help at the fundraiser. And she just got the Slurpee and left. It really took a lot of people by surprise too, because in previous years she had donated like half her closet of like gently worn items. I say gently worn with air quotations, because like she wore these things like one time and then she gave them away because like she didn't want to wear the same thing twice. She's got a lot of money and she gets a lot of free stuff from like brands and sponsorships and stuff. Like people want her to endorse their products. Like I know I forget the name of the company, but this one company, they sent her a bunch of free stuff. Like the company, they're not exactly known for their high quality materials, like their clothes looking nice, but I feel like the clothes they sent her they weren't accurate of what the brand actually has, because they were much higher quality, they looked much nicer. I feel like they had special clothes made specifically just for her, so when she did like the spot on on Instagram. When she did it on Instagram, like they looked better than they actually were. My point being, she had a lot of very nice clothes that she probably didn't even wear more than one time, maybe not even more than a couple of minutes. Like there was the one year she donated some clothes. She had Gucci and Louis Vuitton, and half of it still had the price tags on it. And like that made a lot of money. So like that's why everyone was so shocked how cold she was this time. And that was just really something. Something else that was really funny is when we were setting up for the car show the other day, I don't ask me how this happened, but an inflatable doll that looks strikingly like my sister's seat has fallen into my possession, and I sometimes use it to take the carpool lane. And so I pull over, and everyone's like, "Oh, hey, C made it." It's like, no, C didn't make it, and they're all like saying, "Hi, C," and I was like, "Oh, fine, you think you're too good to talk to?" And it's like, no, that's not C. It's like, what are you talking about? Of course it's C. And it's like, oh my God, like that is creepy how much it looks like her. Where did you even get that? I'm not gonna say where I got it, but it wasn't my intention to get it. It just sort of fell into my possession, and you know, it's kind of helpful to have specifically for that. And so, C still is still taking that mental health sabbatical, but might be trying to work on getting her back into doing some fun stuff. She said she wanted to play Infinity Nikki with me, and honestly, at first I did really want to play Infinity Nikki, and but the thing is, if you've been following it, like the devs totally destroyed the game, and like they're doing these really predatory monetization tactics that I do not support, and I also don't support the way that they were censoring people during the boycott and then the girlcott. They were literally banning people for doing the boycott/girlcott, because like they literally banned the word boycott. So it was crazy that they were legit banning people for protesting. Like, not even KI has done that. When they fired Chris, aka Hercules, everyone got gathered together in Avery's court in Pirate 101, and they had the Hercules companion with them, and they were doing that in protest of them firing Chris. I'm not going to get into the political battlefield that is that scenario, but my point is KI allowed it, because whenever you start silencing down peaceful protests, especially a boycott, like, this wasn't like they were, like, doing something, like, extreme, like, they were, like, stopping you from being able to play the game, or, like, they were harassing you, or false reporting you, or, like, anything like that. No, like, it wasn't even as bad as that guy who did the lineup of rhinoceroses in Wizard 101. Like, this is nothing like that. They literally just were not playing. And so they were getting banned for that, and I think that's absolutely crazy. And then, as an apology for a bug that happened, they said you can get free crystals if you log in and get your crystals. But then, my screen keeps turning off, and I don't want to. I think that's what happens if you hear like parts where like, it just goes silent all of a sudden. I think it's because my screen fell asleep, and when my screen falls asleep, it cuts the audio on my recording. But anyway, they gave away these like free apology crystals, and then the game was still bugged though, so people literally couldn't even log in to get their apology crystals. And then when they were confronted about this, they said something to the effect of, "Oh, just use another computer." Not everyone has another computer to log in and get their apology crystals on. And the fact that you're giving them apology crystals with contingencies in the first place, that is messed up. Not only that, but I realize that it's kind of a boring game anyway, because, like, don't get me wrong, and, like, make no mistake, the premise of a dress-up action game is definitely something that piques my interest, and I do want a game like that, because, like, it's like a cozy action game, and, like, that's not usually how it goes. I feel like the closest thing I could compare that to is probably Pumpkin Panic. I always say Pumpkin Party. That's why when I first did that game on the channel, I legit thought it was called Pumpkin Party or Pumpkin Picnic. I legit thought it was Pumpkin Picnic, actually. So when it was Pumpkin Panic, like, oh, maybe I'm dyslexic. But anyway, that was like the closest thing I can think of to like a cozy action game. And there is definitely a void in the market for a cozy action game. especially one with a heavy emphasis on fashion like Infinity Nikki had. But Infinity Nikki has 100% fallen out of the wayside of that niche because of the predatory monetization action and the really stupid story changes. But like, she said she wanted to play it, and I think I can tolerate it because usually the games she wants to play with me are like really boring. There was this one game she wanted to play with me. I did play it with her. It was basically kitty clicker, where you just keep clicking the cat, and the cat gives you a yarn, and then you take the yarn and you buy more cats, and the cats give you more yarn, and then you take the extra yarn, and then you buy more cats, and they give you more yarn, and you can bind the cats, and they give you special yarn, and it's like the whole premise is just that you're collecting yarn and getting cats. Like, and to me, that is really boring. It's not even like worthy of being called a mobile game, but that's honestly a lot of the games that she likes for mobile games. And personally, I feel like most mobile games fail miserably because they just don't have the resources to make like it's legitimately good game. Though I have seen a couple of people playing these new like AI ones, and they look sort of interesting, but like AI is a hot button issue right now, so I probably won't ever be playing them on the channel, and that's a thing too. If I can't get content out of it, I can't justify like another game in the mix. Like I have Wizard 101, I do the class project and that, but it's okay because I make content for Wizard 101, I do events for Wizard 101, and then I have Ultra Rumble, same thing, I do the events, but I make content on it, and then I have even The Sims. Like I'm doing Sims right now, but I make content on it so I can justify it. Like, this wasn't something that just happened. Like I said, it took me over 8 hours. So, for me to add another game in the rotation, I have to be able to get content out of it. And, like, it's different if it's, like, a once-off thing. Like, I play a lot of Minecraft I play a lot of Minecraft, and I don't actually post that I'm playing Minecraft, because it's, like, a one-and-done thing. Like, I play Skyblock with my friend Chloe. I play on a private SMP that is like just a casual. It's not like a YouTuber SMP, and I'm not like super active on there, but like I'll play a little bit, and so it doesn't matter particularly that I don't get content from that because it's not something that I have to super invest into because there's no limited time events, there's no battle passes, there's no missions or quests or level cap to keep up with or meta to keep up with. I can just play and have fun. And those types of games, I don't feel I need to be able to get content out of. But when I have to make it a full-time, like a part-time job, like keeping up with the season pass and keeping up with the level cap and keeping up with knowledge and keeping up with all this stuff and the gear changes and like the character stuff and all that, I feel like knowing that, but like all that whole ordeal, to me, I have to be able to get content out of it. Otherwise, I just can't justify the time sink. Because I am a very busy woman. I work multiple part-time jobs. I guess my one job's not really part-time. It's like legit my job, but like, I digress. And, so yeah, that's why Infinity Nikki, I'm like, I really don't want to make content on this because I also don't support the practices that the company does. But on top of that, I think the game, while it could be fun to play yourself, I don't think it will be particularly entertaining past like the first video. So, Infinity Nikki I'm not super excited for. But if C wants to play it, then I don't know, I'll figure something out. I'll either play it and not make content on it and just like budget out time to like play it, and I won't worry about like the season passes and collecting crystals and all that stuff like that, or I will find a way to make it interesting. But yeah, the one thing that would really piss me off though is because like I literally re-downloaded Infinity Nikki. Like I asked her, hey, do you still want to play Infinity Nikki even with all the controversy surrounding it? She's like, nah, not really. So I uninstalled it. And then she's like, you know what, on second thought, I think I do want to play it, so I reinstalled it. And so, like, if she cancels on me again, like, then I will be a little bit pissed off. I don't know, also, don't get your hopes up for content on Infinity Nikki with C, because, like I said, this might be one of those things that we just play it ourselves, we don't actually post anything on it. But if we do play it a lot, then maybe we'll get it really just depends on like a lot of things. A lot of back end work and logistical stuff. Because something else that's really important for me too is I don't want people in my life to feel like I'm only associated with them for content. So like I have a lot of friends that you, as my viewer, have literally never seen before. Like I remember I was talking to Shane and I was telling her how me and Sarah and Anna were watching this show the other day, and it's like, I don't remember meeting an Anna, and Sarah was with me. I was like, no, not that Sarah, and like a different Anna. You don't know all my friends. Because, like, believe it or not, I do have a life outside the internet. In fact, some of my best friends are friends that I only know in real life, and they don't even have Discord. A lot of my friends aren't really gamers either, but I found that people tend to be a lot more accountable when you know where they live. Because if they're not, they worry that someone might throw a brick through their window. I know someone who had that happen to them. Something I think that a lot of people forget about is that people are people. Like when you're especially in the age of AI, when you're talking to someone online or like in an MMO, they're almost always a real person behind the screen. But oftentimes people think like, oh, well, I don't have to be accountable because like I get to hide behind my anonymity. I don't know why I can't talk tonight. To have quite a lot of friends who I do feel only ever associated with me for what I could do for them and how a friendship with me would look on paper. And I do try to be a lot more assertive of my boundaries to not be used like that anymore. So like, for me, a big thing is having mutual celebration and being able to do things together, especially doing things as a group. So if you're going to be like a walk away Wendy that doesn't want to do things in the group, or if you're going to be someone who flakes out of plans all the time, then I really don't consider you my friend. I used to know this girl, I won't say who she is, but she used to always call me sis, and after a while, like, I was like, you really don't get to call me that. Like, you're never there for me. Like, you don't know anything about me. When I try to spend time with you, you're always too busy. So how do you think that you get to call me that? Because we're really not. You don't belong. And that was actually my New Year's resolution, was to be more assertive of not letting people push me around and take advantage of me, and like to not have fake people in my life. I don't know if I've really been doing a good job of like enforcing that, but in my mind, I am aware of it, and I have been slowly pushing some people away that I feel didn't deserve to be that close to me in the first place. You have to you have to be the one that safeguards your boundaries, because if you don't, no one will. And like, try to be reasonable with this. I feel like I might have made a video about this once before, but I can't remember, so I'll like briefly go over what I'm about to say. It's like, some people have really unreasonable boundaries, and you really want to be fair with your boundaries. Like, if being your friend is too difficult because your boundaries are insane, no one's going to want to be your friend. But at the same time, you have the right to choose to set what your boundaries are. And I think a lot of people forget to do that, or they don't do that because they don't view the relationship as being real in the first place, because it's only transactional. Like, maybe you have a lot of subscribers, and so because of that, people are like, oh, well, I'll let this person do whatever they want to me because they have a lot of subscribers. I know a girl who fits that description to a T. And it's just really sad when people think about stuff like that, because like, there are so many other more important things that matter. At the end of the day, life is short, and you need to do things that bring you joy and make you happy. Personally, something that I've been wanting to do is some sort of like charity fundraiser event for the stray cats. Most people think that's like not a big deal, like they're cats, who cares? But also, I should probably mention the event we're doing this weekend has absolutely nothing to do with stray cats. That's just something else that I want to do at some point. I don't know if I'll be able to do it this year, because like, I have a lot going on in my life right now, and that's something that I think is important, is setting reasonable goals so that way you can actually like reach them. Because like, a lot of times people set really lofty ambitions and then they can't make them and then they feel sad. But if you have ambitions that are like within your reach, then when you make it there, it'll be like a triumphant celebration. Like how I was able to figure out these stupid stone path rugs. These gave me such a hard time because if you put them at like a diagonal axis, the texture goes all funny and weird, so you have to use them straight, and you can't even use the snap objects to grid sheet on them either, because that also makes them go squirrely. There is a mod that fixes this, but I don't have it in my game at the moment, and I also couldn't really find it, so we're going with just doing it the best we can. Another challenge that I found with this build, this was also optional, but I wanted to not have any influences from other cultures or heritage. I wanted to do like purely an American pride house. So like there was a point where I wanted to put like a fan up, but it's like, oh, those are Chinese, can't do that. And there was a point where I wanted to do some sort of like an Italian inspired wallpaper, and I was like, oh, that's too Italian. Because like the red, white, and blue was already something, but like having it be no like ethnic items in here, like I think that really just screams American pride. And while I was working on this, I sort of started to figure out like who would live here. I know normally you're supposed to have the family in mind and then make the house for the family, but when I make a lot of my houses that I put up for download, I often do it in the opposite order. I make the house, and I usually try to make it pretty safe and generic, and then people can like add their own details. But this one, I started making it, and as I was going, I had the family in mind. It's a married couple. It's a patriarchal father who is in like the military or something. And his wife is a stay-at-home mom. She does not work because trad wives and all that. And then they have an older daughter, and she's a little bit more, like, awake. Like, her eyes are open to, like, women's rights and stuff like that. And she's also more interested in, like, culture of other nations and stuff like of that nature. And they have a baby boy. And that's the family. And, like, sometimes the mom will do financial counseling from home. It's like a side hustle, but like she doesn't work because why would I work when I have a husband who can work for me? I know so many girls who think that way, and it makes me sick. I once dated a guy. I won't say his name, but I think if you've been watching the channel long enough, you might be able to piece together who I'm talking about. Please do not comment who it is. It's not an ARG. I'm not saying his name for a very specific reason, because he's got money and I do not want to get sued. But yeah, he was super, super, super rich. Like, he was like really, really, really rich. And he was also really hot, and he was like the heir to this big company. I don't remember what it was. He had a car collection. Like, he had Audis and Mustangs and Corvettes, and I think he had a Lambo at some point too. And he had basically said that if the scenario were to happen, if we got married, he wouldn't want me to work. And I said, why wouldn't you want me to work? Working is, like, it gives me purpose. He always said, why do you need to work? Why can't you just be waiting for me to come home with a martini and open arms? And it's like, because I'm not some trophy wife. And that was just one of the many, many reasons why it didn't end up working out between us. Like, he was emotionally distant, and then he said I was emotionally distant because I wanted him to meet me in the middle, and he cheated on me all the time. Rich guys tend to do that. And, like, he was just never supportive of anything that I cared about, but then he'd want me to be supportive of the stuff that he cared about. And I was not about that lifestyle. I know someone would, like, my sister was like, what is wrong? Because like, we broke up, and then later he came back. It's like, I can't stand the thought of not having you. Will you marry me? It's like, no, are you kidding me? Go hug a landmine. And she was like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? Do you know how many women would kill for that kind of financial stability and security net? Because, like, he's got yachts, and, like, if the apocalypse happened, we just sail around the world on his giant super yacht. And it's like, I really don't care. In retrospect, I may have fumbled just a tiny bit because I realized that if I married him, I probably could have divorced him for the money, but then also he's not American, so the rules of his country are a little bit different when it comes to divorce, so it could have gotten ugly too. So I may have dodged a bullet. I may have squandered an opportunity. I am not the one to say. I can't really tell how that would have played out. But I didn't really feel the need to go down that path because it wasn't something that was important to me. Because, like, I didn't like him. Like, he was hot and he was, like, rich and... But, like, that was all he had. Like, he had a terrible... His personality was, like, one of the worst personalities of any guy I ever dated ever. Like, just thinking about him makes my skin crawl. So, like, that says something too. Like, when you have that much money and that isn't even enough to make you a 10... Like, you have money and you're beautiful and, like, women still don't want you. I don't know, maybe I'm weird. Would you have wanted a guy who was super rich and super hot but made you feel like you were worthless? Or would you rather have someone like who I have now who uplifts you and makes you feel like you're the center of the universe and, like, is always there for you and supportive? Like, I feel like I am really lucked out now with the person I have versus that, because, like, money is only a means to an end, but if you have what you want, then you don't need it, because you already have it, if that makes sense. Plus, a lot of rich people tend to, like, no offense, they tend to be a kind of, like, little dumb, a little bit of an airhead. He definitely fit that description, like, he was super dumb. But then again, like, you can't say just because someone's rich, they're dumb, because, like, the guy I'm with now he's not very much money, and he's also an airhead. And, like, I know people who are rich are, like, really smart, too, but, like, usually it's because people have the good looks and they have the money, they feel like they don't need to rely on, like, themselves, like, they can rely on their money, and they don't have to rely on, like, what they can bring to the table without money. Speaking of tables, you're going to notice that model train set table appearing and reappearing. I try desperately to make that fit, and I sort of did. I'm so excited I actually made it fit, because, like, you know how much I love that, and I, like, really love trains, but, like, it's so hard to make that one specifically fit anywhere because of how big it is. I did something a little bit cheaty, like, it's not technically in the house, but I don't think you're gonna particularly mind that. So I made that gazebo, like I said, the gazebo goes outside, and I put the train table on that. I initially thought about putting it in the basement, but there just wasn't room. I wanted it in the office, there wasn't room. I wanted it in the living room, there was never room. There's never room for that poor thing anywhere. I think I've only ever used it in one other house, because, again, it's so huge, but I was overjoyed to be able to include that and the pool table. I had the train and the pool table, and that made me so overjoyed. The only thing, though, that might be a concern is I don't know if, I know one person can use it, because, like, as long as you can get to the front where that little lever is, you can use it, but I don't know if you could have 2 or 3 or 4 people putting things on it at the same time, because when you're building it, you actually can have multiple people simultaneously working on the train, or, like, the little town area, but, this time it's just going to be for one person. Maybe one person here has the hobby for miniature trains, and then everyone else just thinks it's kind of weird, which is why they, like, pushed her out into the gazebo. I think it came out really nice, though, and I wouldn't mind having this out. I wouldn't mind having a train like that out under a gazebo, because, like, it's shielded from the elements. Like, if it snows or rains, it's going to be covered by the little top of the gazebo. Initially, I was going to, like, just put it under, like, one of those tents, and I thought that's not quite the way I was hoping it would look. And then also, I realized I have been playing The Sims 2 for probably 20 years or so, and I literally had no idea what you were supposed to use with those little, like, shingled cover pieces. I had no idea. They're awnings. I have awnings on my house in real life. I can't believe I didn't know what those were. I was like, well, how do you use these? It'd be nice if they had awnings. They literally had awnings this whole time, and I was just so stupid I didn't know what they were. So, like, maybe some people would consider me rich, because that was, like, a really dumb thing that I just didn't know. I might do, like, a little short tutorial, like, on YouTube Shorts stuff, because I have learned to bet most people don't know how to use that, because it is a weird tool to use. Like, it's like they let you do them freestanding, like, they don't let you, like, it would have made sense to, like, have them go over, like, have them just go over the windows like an awning, like a curtain type deal, but, like, you have to, like, draw them on with, like, this little those poles in the bottom. I was so confused, and it was purely by accident. Like, I was like, hey, that kind of looks like, and then I just put it by the window. It's like, oh my god, it's literally an awning. That's what that is. So I was overjoyed to figure that out with that revelation as well, and I also was overjoyed with the table, with the trays. So that made me very happy. Very happy. Like always, I did not include the water heater, the furnace, or the washer and dryer. I accidentally included the invisible driveway, but honestly, like I said before, you really should have that already. I cannot emphasize enough how far away that makes builds go. But I did not include the washer and dryer because of how many there are that you could choose from, and they're all CC, like, obviously. And some of them are modded, some of them are functional. And the furnace and the hot water heater, I didn't add those either, but you could clearly see the room that I meant for those to go, and I did make, like, a little fake washer and dryer. When you add your real washer and dryer, or if you don't have one, just leave them, but if you want to add your real washer and dryer, just get rid of those little white boxes in the laundry room and use the money that you have from selling those to put down your washer and dryer. So overall, I'm very happy the way this place came out. And, yeah, I think that's all I really have to say for this one. There were a few things that I wanted to talk about, though, that aren't specifically about this build or 4th of July or anything really in particular, but kind of like a little bit of an announcement for my Sunshine Shores custom HUD. I want every building in this neighborhood and every family to be completely custom. Nothing from the gallery that you can just download, nothing that relies on NPCs, and nothing from the bin, obviously. So this is like an incredibly huge undertaking. If anyone would like to help me, then by all means message me on Discord and we can, like, start coordinating, like, the types of houses that we do, the types of families that we do. I want all the occults to be present in this: aliens, werewolves, vampires, and plants and witches. But, like, the thing with vampires, I think I may have briefly touched on this before, is that for a vampire society to work, it really is going to be difficult to go undetected with it still being, like, realistic. And so the way I think I was going to incorporate vampires was that some people are humans and they know about vampires and they just don't really care and they keep it, like, hush-hush from the government. And then there's, like, a grand vampire. They're, like, the old vampires, and they're the ones who started it, and they're, like, all stuck in their ways, but they're, like, super old now. And I might have someone maybe come along and get rid of them because they're problematic. And then all the new vampires are new vampires that were, like, descendants from that chain, but they might not necessarily share the beliefs of the original vampires. So, like, it's like vampires but in the 21st century. Kind of like Twilight, but not quite like Twilight either. It's not quite like Buffy either. But I am using Buffy and Twilight for inspiration for the vampire, because I really want to incorporate them in a way that is both stealthful and tactfully done, while also being semi-realistic. Because it's always so, like in My Little Pony Equestria World at the end of the movie, when the whole school sees, like, Sunset Shimmer turn into, like, this demon thing. Really, people still think magic is a secret after that? Like, I would think, like, okay, maybe they didn't have their cell phones. Maybe they got mind controlled before they had the time to pull out their cell phones. But, like, you would think that people would be talking about that and looking for that. And especially in, like, the second one, when human Twilight, she does the exact same thing. Again, no one is going to question that. No way. So I need to find a way to incorporate vampires, and I'm still trying to find out decide how I want to do this. If I want it to be a secret, if I want them to be like, hey, we're vampires, you're going to deal with that. And I had like a plan to make like a luxury hotel for like a 5-star hotel, and sort of like the Hilton, only instead of it being run by the Hiltons, it's run by the vampires, and because vampires all have like some sort of power, and some of them can like erase your memory. So I thought one of the vampires could have like an ability to erase people's memories, and so that vampire would work at the hotel, and other vampires at the hotel would say like, "Hey, rich celebrity, you're so cool, you won a special package. Come to this room to claim your package." And then they lock the door behind them, the vampire comes out to feed, and then they leave and the other vampire comes in and erases the memory, and they just go back to the room, and they are none the wiser. I think that would be a really clever way to incorporate that. And I could also use the, what are they called, the resort lots, the vacation lots. I could do that too, and I think that'd be really cool. Though I don't want to add any subhoods, so I don't know if I could do that without having to add a subhood, because it's going to be big enough of a file to put up for download with just one, and having subhoods is going to make it even more complicated. So no subhoods, just the one main hood, and then you can make your own subhoods. And yeah, so if you want to help me with that, let me know. And let me know what kind of houses you would like to see me build next as well. And because I do take requests, I'm pretty good at recreating things from other media. Like I've done a couple Wizard 101 houses, I've done real life houses, I've done houses from clip art. So I'm up for anything. So with that said, I'm going to let the music play here, and I shall see you through the screen. I hope very much you enjoy. And the link will be in the description box below if you want to download this. The house, not the neighborhood, because the neighborhood's not done yet, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I shall see you through the screen. Ta-da!